past, fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact, don't ask, grab reactions, jacked, attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember you're discreet now, get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku and Kendo. After the two were trapped in her house, thanks to some zombies and a military convoy gonna come by soon, they discovered Kendo's father dead. They also discovered the getting into UA gift her father left her. A dirt bike that has not been touched since the first day of the apocalypse. And not only was this a lucky find, Kendo, she was very sentimental about it. This is the last thing she has to attach herself to her father other than his jacket. Now, the two, they did leave. Whenever they did leave, they encountered the convoy, running from it to encounter a giant bat-like monster, or a dragon-like monster. Now, this creature, for those of you unaware, it is a variation creature, meaning it's a bunch of bodies that have melted and mashed together. Since it wasn't horrifying enough, people thought it was Ryuko, the dragon hero. It is not. I have certain plans for certain pro heroes, and I know what to do. Anyways, now, after they encountered this giant creature, Deku had a plan. Lead it to the convoy and just go. Deal with those guys and let them deal with that thing. And it somewhat worked. They were able to do that, and Deku stole a dirt bike, or a military bike, from one of the guys after taking their ammo belts. Now, they arrived at the library shortly afterwards, and they haven't seen the creature or heard of the convoy. And the comms, they went silent. Now, Deku and Kendo did try to explain the situation to Kirishima and Mei, as they were all standing outside the library and waiting. Now, we do currently have the four. Deku, he's at least trying to think about everything. The way this place looks, there must be people inside. However, they can't be alive. It doesn't make sense if they would be. If they're infected in any way, it's a possibility that they're dead. So, they have to take precautions with this. Now, Deku, he actually does at least ask the two, let's just say Kirishima and Kendo, to actually look out for zombies, while him and Mei do actually try to open up the door. Now, you do actually have Mei, who she actually is going to bend down and going to actually pull out something from inside of her giant suit, or her one-piece engineering suit. Now, Deku does see her pull this out, asking her what that is, as she basically does at least hold up a bunch of small, tiny little things. Deku can tell that those are made from something. He can't really tell what until Mei she actually does at least express to Deku that these are made of scrap metal. Some forks, and even some spoons. As she does at least try to pick the lock with stuff she's basically cut up and turned into a makeshift lock-picking tool. Now, she does at least try to express this to Deku, as she's on her knee trying to pick the lock, that if they do get through this door and there's actually people inside, what will they do? Well, I don't know. The only other people we've really ran into, Deku's saying, is just actually lean against the concrete wall, talking about how they've only ran into that one guy at the shop. He accidentally killed him. Then they ran into the convoy, and that wasn't really too good either. They haven't really ran into anybody, so it's just kind of hard to think. Now, Mei does ask another question to Deku. What does he think about that, though? What do you mean? Well, I'm just curious. Her action continued to pick the lock, as Deku could see the expression on her face. Do you think that there's enough people left? Hmm? Um, well, what do you mean by that? It's just kind of strange. I find myself thinking back to UA. Those guys in the engineering course or the support course classroom. They all seem to be worried about themselves. But what if they're dead? Even then, we haven't come across any of the people. We've just seen the news. And I don't think you watched it last night, did you? Hmm? No? Why? Oh, the guy just seems so unhinged. Survivors, they're trying to get out of the city, but we already made it out. I just don't understand why we're coming back in. Now, Deku does try to explain this to May, as a clicking sound can be heard, and the door, it actually does start to open up. Now, Deku he immediately does jump off of the wall and get ready with a sword. As whenever the door does start to open up, Deku he does start to press against it with the sword as May does go to back up. Kirishima and Kino coming up right next to Deku to get ready. Now, they do actually walk into the library, as they do close the door behind them and go to lock the door. Now, it's kind of surprising. From being in here, it does seem like it's simple. It's somewhat easy. Now, they do look around. There is blood on the floor, and Deku he does see a body. Now, Deku does at least go to do one thing. He does go to grab the military belt he does at least have attached on like a sash or across his chest. He goes to actually take it off, properly putting it around his waist as he does go to walk forwards. Now, as he does go to do that, he does get ready with a sword. Whenever he does get close, he does start to do one thing. Deku actually tapping on a metal chair with a sword to see if it does actually get the response to that thing that's laying down. Now, Deku he does start to step forwards, as he does go to get ready, and he does go to bring back the sword. It's weird. This thing hasn't moved. So why would it? This being where Deku he does actually see movement. He does go to actually try to swing the sword down. However, he doesn't really hesitate as the person do go to stand and throw their chair backwards. And Deku he does immediately have a gun pointed directly in his face, as Deku can feel the metal of it touching his nose. And he does actually go to bring the sword away from the person's neck, as he's going to actually try to bring up his hands. Listen, we're not... Hey, I have the gun here. The person going to actually look down towards Deku's hands. Where'd you get that? That's a long story. You're human, right? Of course I am. I'm not one of those things. I know. Listen, whatever you do, just don't shoot. Why? 'Cause you'll die? No. There's a lot of them outside. Now, the person just stared at Deku. The way he just made that sound, it sounds like he has nothing left to lose. And they actually do go to at least bring their hands up and go to whistle. Now, as soon as they do whistle, some people do actually start to make their presence known. Some coming out from behind bookshelves, even some coming off of the second story. And Deku can see that just from looking up. There's gotta be at least 12 people here? Wow. You guys are all human. Yeah, of course we are. We got stuck here. But wait, how do we what? Food, everything else. Water. We got the fountain. We filled it up as much as we could with anything. Water bottles, water containers we salvaged, and all that stuff. Upon initial outbreak, some of us, we went to the store and we came back. We actually had some pros with us, but they died. Yeah, I'm sorry. Listen, can you bring the gun down? Now the person need to go to back up. Right. Sorry. Uh, yeah, my name's Izuku. Hmm? Oh, I'm. Never mind. Don't do names. Why? Because you guys need to get out of here. You're going to attract more. Wait. We'll get out of here. We just need to get something from here. Hmm? You can't take any of our stuff. No, we have plenty of food. We have plenty of water. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the books. Hmm? Books? Oh God, are you guys like that one guy? One guy? Who are you talking about? Hmm? You haven't seen him? He's a guy with glasses. He's missing an eye. He's got a scar on his right. No, who are you talking about? Um, Never mind. Listen. You guys are free to any of the books, but just be quiet, okay? Yeah, we will. Just word of warning. If you come across a area where there's no zombies in the street, get inside. What? What are you talking about? Now, Deku, he does go to sit down, as people they do actually start to gather to hear the story he does tell. And nobody does believe it, until Kendo shows back it up talking about how they led it to the military convoy. Deku, he actually punched a soldier, stole the belt from him, and drove off on his dirt bike. And a lot of people there are very surprised by that. The way that's phrased, it sounds like these guys are fucking with him. However, whenever Deku actually is going to pull up his shirt and actually reveal the belt, people do actually stare at it. They do see a gun, and a radio, and a knife. Along with that, there's the patches there. They're curious as to what's inside that belt. Now, Deku, he actually does inform the guy that they're just going to go grab their stuff and leave. As you do actually have where Deku does start to try and think. Okay, so this would be in this area, this would be in this area, this would be in that area, this would be over here. Let's see, okay, I need to... Somebody actually watching as he's just sitting there muttering. The person walking over to Kendo and asking if he really did do all that. Huh? Yeah, he did. You serious? Yeah. But believe it or not, he's kind of been our leader. This guy? You're serious? He's fucking... Look at him. Hmm? Yeah, well, I mean, he's been through a lot. We all kind of have. Well, I get that. I had to kill a friend of mine. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually just kind of killed my dad a couple hours ago. Oh shit. My bad. I didn't mean to. No, it's not really okay, but we've all kind of just lost a lot of people. We had more friends, but they're back at our base, and the ones we got out of our school with, we lost. Hmm? School? Yeah, we're UA students. Now, everybody in the library, they hear that simple thing. These kids are from UA? No wonder they're able to survive. If these guys can get past a 0.2 acceptance rate, then they could probably get past anything. However, it's just kind of weird. Now, the people do quickly start to get skeptical. If these guys escaped UA without their quirks, what are they really capable of? Now, we actually do have Deku. I just bit my tongue. Anyways, we actually do have Deku, who, whenever he actually is going to pick out some books and at least trying to open them to see what they might have, he does flip through the pages and just at least try to briefly gloss over them. Deku actually going to set some down to the right and even going to try and look back at some more, as he actually does have his sleeves rolled back, and people, they are kind of curious. This guy, he looks greasy. Along with that, he's kind of short, but there is his demeanor. Whenever he actually does focus on it, he seems to be mysterious in a way. Now, everybody there is just kind of confused, as somebody they actually come walking up to Deku and trying to ask him if he really is from UA. Deku actually going to turn his head and seeing a girl with a beanie on, as it does at least have a, let's just say, blue tip, and he does at least say she's wearing a long hoodie. Yeah. Deku actually going to reach out and actually going to pull up another book. It's a long story, I would really rather not get into it. Now, the person they are very curious. They just really want to know how he escaped without using his quirk. Oh yeah, the quirk malfunctions. You know about them, right? The what? The quirk malfunctions. It's kind of big. Now, the girl should at least explain to Deku. They really don't. They don't have quirks in here. Now, this kind of does surprise Deku and catch him off guard. These people don't have quirks? Wait, Deku actually went to close a book. You guys don't have quirks? Well, some of us, we do, but they just don't show. Others of us, we had mutation-based abilities, but they just went crazy, right? Yeah, they did. And then there were some of us who they tried to use their quirks to stop it, and they malfunctioned. They stopped working, right? And then they seem to be turning. Yeah, how did you know? Yeah, it's a long story, but Deku actually gonna reach out for a book, as the girl says see Deku's arm, and her face just go from interesting to horrified. She sees a bite mark in the middle of Deku's forearm, and from the way that does look, that is not a new bite mark. That's old. Now, she immediately grabs Deku by his arm, reaching out, asking how is that possible, so much shouting. Now, Deku does actually go to pull his arm backwards, rolling down his sleeve, hiding it behind his back as the girl is trying to at least talk about how Deku's been bitten. He's been bitten, he's been bitten. And people they actually come running forwards. Now, Kirishima, Kendo, and Mei, they all actually start to run towards the area Deku's at. Some of them actually dropping their books and running through piles they did have. As the guy who, or at least the group of people, they actually come running to the area where Deku is. And Deku is actually hiding his arm, as he's at least trying to explain himself. Bringing up his right hand trying to tell them that he can explain everything. Now, the guy he actually is told by the person who saw the bite to wait. And the guy does ask why. As the girl should talk about how Deku's bite has healed. And people they actually all do stare at him somewhat surprised. Now, whenever Kendo and everyone else do come running up behind Deku, Deku actually has at least look at all of them. Okay, you guys don't know the rules, do you? What rules? Now, the person actually going to hold up their gun, as you start to shout to show him his damn arm. Now, Deku, he actually just trying to think. His machete's back on the table. Okay, this isn't good. I can reach for my gun. The one on the belt, it does have that thing covering it with a clip. I'd have to pull that back. I wouldn't have the time. There's the gun in my waistband. No. If I try to reach down and remove my left hand, it could be bad. Now, Deku, you just try to think. Okay. I'm actually going to bring out his arm, as it does actually start to show it. And everybody they do look at Deku's arm. The guy actually somewhat surprised and, well, curious. Stepping forwards and grabbing Deku by his wrist, as he does actually hold it forcefully and start to turn it over. What the fuck? How is this possible? You're immune? No, not exactly. Wait, so what is... Now, Kendo, she's at least going to pull her hand out of her pocket, as she does show a wrapped bandage, and an area on her hand that does actually have blood. And they're all kind of surprised by that. Wait, you've been bitten too? Yeah. Now, everybody's attention is right on Deku and Kendo. These two have been bitten, and Deku actually tries to express. He was bitten on day 1, and this bite here is proof infections don't spread that way, or at least this virus or whatever it is doesn't. Now, there actually is where zombies start banging on the door and the walls. As Deku actually turns his head and watches two people quickly run over the door and go to grab a heavy looking table. Now, they do start to move the table. Deku watching as they move it right in front of the door, and an actual thought crosses his mind. If these are the only people here, then why wasn't that there before? The way that thing looks, the way that table is large, it would stop that door from turning, at least the knob or the handle of it. Even if someone wanted to get in, they couldn't. And that's not just it. The amount of weight that table has to be, maybe it's more? Actually, looking around that door, there's a lot more stuff piled around that area. Why wasn't it in front of it to begin with? Deku's attention going right back to the guy, as the guy, he actually does start to walk forward towards Deku, going to grab him by his shirt and at least trying to tell him to give them all the details. Okay, listen, let go of me and I can tell you everything I know. Now, the guy, he at least does throw Deku backwards and into the ground. As Deku, he does go smashing backwards, and he does at least go to look up at the guy, who he at least does go to bring his gun up again, expressing to him that if they don't know anything, he's going to tell them everything, and he's making that clear right now. Now, Deku, he does at least start to go over everything with the guy, as he basically talks about how symptoms vary from person to person, and the stages, they're not set for everybody. From what he understands, people go insane and melt, and they attack people. Or people will be insane already, but they just seem to be covered in bites. It just doesn't make sense. They've already encountered a guy like that before. He murdered their best friend, shot him through the heart. Now, this is actually kind of interesting. And the guy, he actually seemed to get a little bit ticked off by that statement. So you're saying your friend was shot? Yeah, he was. Why? Now, the person actually go to set down the gun, bringing up their hands talking about how their older brother was stabbed. Now, Deku, he actually has realized something. As this guy, he actually has got to pull a knife on Deku. Now, the guy actually starts to walk forward, expressing to Deku that this is really very personal to him. He just confessed to murdering his older brother. Now, the person actually going to pull back their hood, and Deku does actually see the family resemblance. Now, Deku, he does try to get back up onto his feet and get ready, as the person actually try to rush him and going to try and slash and stab at him. And Deku actually does try to avoid the attack, as he actually does avoid getting cut in the side, or stabbed in the kidney. Now, the person they do immediately start to try and flail around their blade, as whenever Kendo did try to jump to the side or out of the way, she actually smashed into a bookshelf and tried to slide to the left. Now, this actually was causing too much noise, and there actually were the other people there who they were trying to understand what to do, try to get ready. And there actually is Deku. These other people, they are trying not to get involved, but even then they're just staying to the side, this being where Deku actually just narrowly avoided being stabbed in the shoulder. Him actually going to throw out his left hand and directly smash the person in the face. Now, as Deku does smash in the face, they're actually just waiting for their head to smash into the wall. And Deku doesn't even going to throw out his hands and try to grab at the person. The person actually trying to swing out with the knife, as they actually do almost cut right at Deku's cheek. And Deku actually is going to try and bring up his hands, and Deku going to grab the person, grabbing his hands under theirs. Interlocking his hands as he actually tries to squeeze down as hard as he can. Now, the person are actually trying to shake the blade around in the air and trying to move it down, or at least twist their grip on it. And Deku and this person, they are just actually moving as Deku actually is pushing them backwards. Now, Deku and the person actually go smashing down the entire, well, walking section. As Deku, he actually does smash the guy right into a table, as he actually is going to let go with one hand. Him punching the guy right in the stomach, as he just does continue punching. Now, Deku does feel the grip loosen on the knife, as he's actually going to throw the knife away before actually going to bring up his hand, directly grabbing the guy by his shirt and directly slamming him to the ground behind him. Now, Deku, he's enraged at this point. All the anger he's been feeling, all the emotions he's been feeling, they boil over. And Deku, he gets on top of this guy, as he starts to throw a left hook, then a right, then a left, then another right. And everybody there just start to watch. Now, everybody there at least trying to get everything back together, try to regain focus, regain just some sort of clarity. And after at least running through the library and trying to avoid the people they think might be trying to murder them, they do come back up onto the scene. As you actually have where Mei and Ken know, they do find Deku. As Deku is actually just throwing down his fist, still into this guy's face. Deku actually going to slam down 3 right hooks before actually going to bring back his left hand. And they actually try to see if the guy is even really still fighting back. As at this point, Deku's fist, they're covered in blood. And, well, the guy, he's not doing anything. His hands, they're just twitching. And there's so much blood around his head, and his hoodie, it's just soaked. Now, you do actually have where Kendo and Mei, they actually come walking up. As Kendo, she has actually going to toss a book at Deku, and does actually hit him in the side of the head. Before he actually does immediately go to turn and look at her with at least a glare that doesn't show a good expression. Now, Kendo, she actually somewhat going to back away, kind of scared. As you do actually where Deku, he does go from having that expression, looking at her, to realizing that that's Kendo, his friend. Before he actually is going to look back down at what he just did. Him going to bring his hands up and just stare at them for a second. Before looking back down at the guy's body. He sees that multiple teeth have been bashed in. The guy, he's... Deku actually going to reach down. Hey, are you... I'm sorry, I didn't mean... Get up. Get up. Now, Kirishima, he actually is around the corner. As you just see that Deku is just shaking the sky. Whoa, what the fuck? Now, the other people from this group, they actually do see Deku. As they're just trying to understand what to do. And really, at this point, it's... well... they don't know. Now, Deku, he actually just get up and go to back away. As he does just go to stumble against the corner and try to bring his hands up. He almost touches his face. However, he just can't. He just stares at his hands, trying to wonder. Did he really just do that? No. That wasn't... that was... I didn't mean to... Now, you actually have where Kirishima, he does come walking up. And he actually has bent down to grab onto Deku. Now, Deku, he thinks that Kirishima, he's going to try and pick him up, or at least try to take him somewhere. Probably even rinse off his hands. However, Kirishima, he does actually just hold on to Deku. And he just, well, hugs him. And Deku, he just sits there frozen for a minute. He doesn't know what to say. He didn't mean to kill him. That was a mistake. Kirishima, I didn't mean to kill him. He just... He had the knife. I just blacked out. Hey. Now, Deku does look up at Kirishima. Kirishima, he has an expression that does so show that he's scared. And Deku, he thinks that might be because of him. Did he scare them with that? He didn't know he was capable of that. Now, everybody, they do at least try to not mess with Deku right now. As they do try to gather the books. And some people, they actually are a bit on the fence. Especially whenever Kirishima, or let's just say Kendo, she was actually trying to extend an offer if anyone wants to go with them. And some people, they actually look at each other. From what they understand, they can either ride in the bed of the truck or possibly get a seat in the cab. However, they're kind of scared of the monster out there. Now, they have kind of made up a bit of a legend themselves here. They've been trapped here for so long, and they've actually thought they've either heard or seen something outside. It could just be a regular infected person, but they don't know. And they just started making up a bit of rumors about it. From what they understand, these guys might be able to handle it, but even then, they don't want to go outside. Their food, it will diminish, and they'll get more eventually, but it's just the guy Deku just beat to death. He was their runner. He's the guy who knew these streets. Without him, they're going to die. They're going to at least struggle with food. And some people, they actually are somewhat kind of curious. And there actually is that girl who Deku saw. She does actually step up, asking if she can really go with them. Yes, you can. I'm sure Momo wouldn't mind. In fact, I think it would be a welcome relief to see some new faces. Okay, we have 2 more seats in the truck. Now, you do actually have where people, they are looking around each other. And they don't really know what to do or say. If they leave these guys behind, they'll die. If they all stay behind, they'll die. If some of them go and they all try to leave at once, they could die. Too much people, too much weight in the car, right? It just doesn't make sense. Now, Deku at least does open his mouth. As he's still sitting in the corner, looking at his hands. We need to pack everything up first. Now, everybody, they do stare at Deku. As Deku, he at least does express to them that they also have the 2 extra seats on the motorbikes. And that the bed of the truck needs to be used for not only the food they need to take with them, but they should probably also use it to store the books. Now, people, they're actually very confused. Why is Deku so focused on books right now? He just beat a guy to death. And that's what he's thinking about? This guy isn't human. Now, Kendo, she has tried to express. Deku's worried about the future. The place they're at, where they call their base, it's just, well, you know, it's a safe place. It's a gated area with lots of land around it. They think they can grow crops there. And even then, they can get fresh water. The stuff they have in the library here will help them make themselves self-sufficient. Now, everybody, they do hear that. That idea there, a self-sufficient society in a gated area away from zombies, that just kind of hook, line, and sinker. It's just so promising to people. You're basically telling them, hey, you won. You won, you win. You can escape this place and go to Hawaii or something. Now, it was very strange. There were no takers, and then all of a sudden everybody wants to join in. And there's even the fact that now they're starting to try and fight for their spot. Now, this actually does escalate quite a bit. And you do actually have where Deku, he did go to stand up, and him and Kirishima did walk to the bathroom. Where Deku, he did at least try to wash off his hands. Now, you do actually have Kirishima's perspective. He's watching Deku very carefully. The guy just washed his hands, dried them off, tried washing them again, he just kept scrubbing. And he just didn't seem to stop. But for Deku, he can still see that blood on his hands. He can even see more of it. he's knee deep in it. Not just his own blood, not just Bakugo's, not just his mom's, not Mitsuki's, nor that guy, and even then his little brother. It's just, he's killed infected. Are they still human? Do they feel pain? They scream, they moan, they talk. They try to. The jumbled screams he's been hearing at night. He just got so used to them. Not hearing them at Momo's place, it's a welcome relief, but it just freaks Deku out now. Now, Deku, he does at least try to compose himself more. And after they do walk out of the bathroom, there is actually where a bit of a fight has broken out. The people who want to leave the library and the people who wanted to stay. There's kind of a bit of a thing where all of them wanted to leave now, and now they're fighting for spots. And yeah, it gets pretty bad. Now, this is actually where Kendo and everybody else, they do try to bring the car around using the, let's just say they go up to the top of the building and try to look for an emergency escape ladder. They do find one. Now, after getting on top of the building and at least going down the emergency ladder, they do look down the alleyway. And they do inform somebody back down there with a radio that the alleyway is clear right now. And the person with the keys for the truck, they actually pull it back around into the alley. As they do it slowly and carefully for the zombies not to get their attention. Now, they do start to pack everything up. And there actually is that girl that is coming along with them. She really wants to get out of here. And honestly, it's been kind of crazy. Now, Deku, he can kind of understand that. If he got the chance like she did, he'd understand it and go with them too. And by this point, there actually is where a loud sound can be heard. Now, the moment everyone they got done packing up the books and people were still trying to argue where they were sitting or even who was possibly even going, a bit of a deciding factor happened. The girl that was talking with Deku, she hopped in the truck, and Deku was getting ready to go grab a bike. As he heard a gunshot ring out. And there actually was where somebody they did grab that guy's gun from back on the shelf. As they did put a bullet through 3 people and immediately went to go move on to a 4th. Now, Deku, he was very confused. As the moment he was walking, he did immediately jump behind the truck and immediately go to pull his own gun. Him trying to pull out the holster before actually going to look down. Him sliding that piece forwards before going to actually pull out the handgun. And go to rack it back. Now, Deku, he immediately went to look at the gun. Safety off, and he did actually go to point out. Now, Deku did watch this person, they did immediately have the gun at least up to their head. And Deku, he was very surprised. As the person, they did just pull. Now, Deku was confused. What the fuck was that? Now, the people do come walking out, and 5 are dead. Now, they're all kind of surprised. They see Deku holding a gun, and then they see that guy. They all immediately start to scream. And Deku, he does this, try to bring up his hand, trying to tell them that it wasn't him. As everybody in Deku's group, they all do just start to pile into the car. And the girl that was with them, she actually does at least try to express them or talk to them about how it wasn't him. She saw him. He just held the gun whenever the last, thing was pulled. The last sound was heard. Now, this is kind of bad. Deku, he immediately does one thing. Turning back around and running back towards the bike. Him grabbing his as he just go to throw down the key and turn it on. Now, Deku, he does immediately drive out of the alleyway as zombies were actually going to reach out and grab him. Deku actually going across the street and actually revving up the engine to the bike. Now, people, they do see Deku. As there actually is where Mei and Kirishima, they do look at Deku as he has to go across the street, and the zombies, they actually are coming towards him. Deku actually going to put his foot down and going to do a burnout. He's just going to turn the bike and directly head off in that direction. Now, Deku just start beeping down on the horn, trying to get the attention of those zombies. Look at him, don't look at them. Now, the zombies do start to pass by the alleyway. As Kendo and them, they're kind of worried now. Those guys just think Deku murdered all of them. He killed that one guy, and then that other dude, he just shot them all dead. Why? What the fuck was that? Now, with that being said, Kendo, she actually just walk over to that guy's body. And after at least going to take the gun out of his hand, she just goes to try and inspect it. As she does find something quite strange. Whenever you look at this guy's arms, they're kind of cut up. Along with that, they have scratches all over them. And then there's actually, whenever you do look a bit further down, the guy, there's a space right there by the bottom of his jeans, right in one of his pants. Her actually going to reach down and go to actually pull back his entire pant leg, as you'll see a leg that's covered in bites. Now, Kendo, she's very concerned by that. That leg is covered in bites. And the whole thing is, it doesn't look waxy. But at the same time, it's just like Deku said. Different stages. Wait a minute. Now, Kendo started to piece it together. This guy went insane. That's why he did that. Now, it's all kind of bad, as they do try to pack up in the truck and leave. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.